Hello, and welcome to another episode of Soap Goes to the Oscars. This is episode 9, I believe. Recording this on January 20th of 2024. It's been quite a while since I actually watched one of these movies. Back in September, I think. Maybe it was the last one I watched. So I'm a little behind, but I'm trying to get back into it in the new year here. And you probably won't be hearing this for quite a while anyway. So that doesn't really matter. There won't be any break for you. But the latest one that I watched here was called The Big House. It's a 1930 film. So this is part of the, I think, 1929 to 1930 Oscars. At this point, as I've mentioned, they're still doing 2 years worth. That goes up until 1933. So, some of these movies from this year of Oscars is from 1929, some from 1930. So this one, The Big House, 1930 film. It's a prison drama directed by George Hill, released by MGM. When I started watching this, one of the actors popped up, one of the main guys, and I was like, that looks like the guy from the movie Alibi that I watched not too long ago. And as it turned out, it was. And his name is Chester Morris. In Alibi, he played like a gangster. In this, he was one of the inmates. And then I was looking him up, and he actually has another Oscar Best Picture nominated movie in 1930 as well. So there'll be another one coming up with him soon. So this dude was in like 3 Best Picture nominees in the first couple of years of the Oscars there. So this is the story of a young kid. I think he said he was about 24. When he goes into the prison, he was sentenced to manslaughter for driving drunk and killing a man. He's sent to this prison that's overcrowded, and they say it's designed for 1,800 inmates, and it's actually holding 3,000. So he's put in a cell with 2 other inmates. And he's a pretty innocent kid, and the other inmates he's with are not. He gets put in with 2 guys named Butch and Morgan, who are kind of the leaders of the other inmates. Butch was like he was a killer, I believe. He was in for murder, and he was kind of also the comic relief. He was kind of funny, and he would, anytime anybody would ask him a question, he'd say, "Who, me?" And the other guy, Morgan, played by that Chester Morris that was in Alibi, he's really good. He's pretty charismatic, good looking guy. So I can see why he was kind of popular back at that time. But things kind of go badly, and the warden tells the kid Kent at the beginning that prison doesn't make you yellow, but if you have it in you, it'll bring it out. And he has it in him. So it kind of goes along, and they want Kent to sort of join them, and he sort of rebuffs them and is recruited by another guy who's working with the warden or with the screws to give information basically, and to lessen their sentences. So he kind of Butch gets in a fight and gets thrown into solitary, and this kid plants a knife on Morgan, who is just about to be paroled. And because they find the knife, his parole is canceled. So he's pretty pissed at Kent. And Kent's good-looking sister had just been in, and Morgan saw this. So he breaks out of prison, and he goes and finds her, I think, initially with the intent of, doing some harm, but then falls in love with her very quickly. Like, it's like fade to the next scene, and they're in love. And the cops have found him and have come to take him back to prison. So, and then when he goes back, Butch is back out of solitary and is trying to escape with a bunch of other inmates. And their plan is to start a riot. And, if you can imagine, things kind of go awry at that time. And Morgan ends up kind of being, spoilers for a 1930 movie, but Morgan ends up kind of being the snitch, and gets a full pardon because he helps the warden and the guards. Kent turns out is just a wuss. So he and Butch dies. So he and him and Morgan had gotten into a fight, him and Butch, and so but he finds out just before he dies that Kent was the informer, so they reconcile, and then Morgan and the sister embrace at the end, and that was pretty much it. It was a good movie. It's kind of getting into those first three movies for me were kind of rough with no sound, no dialogue, just some crappy temporary music tracks or whatever. But now we're getting into some movies where, still black and white, which is fine, but the quality is a little better. You're actually getting spoken dialogue and, there's music and stuff. So it's a short one, about an hour and a half, which I like as well. And this is the first one of this year's movies that I watched. So there'll be a few more. Well, there's one movie from this year, or was that from the last one? No, that was from the last group. The Patriot is one that's lost to time. But yeah, so this one, there's 5 movies total. So with All Quiet on the Western Front being the winner that year, so that'll be the last one I review. But turns out that the movie's been made 3 times and has been nominated for Best Picture all 3 times. So must be pretty good. So anyway, yeah, that's The Big House, and I liked it a lot. Obviously, it's the only one from this year that I've watched, so it's at the top of the list at the moment. But we'll see how the rest go. And that's pretty much all I got. This one I rented from Amazon. It was like $3 or whatever. So not available on anything free. None of these are, unfortunately. One of them was a while back, but I guess I missed my window. It's not on YouTube anymore. So I'm gonna have to pay for that one too. But that's fine. Anyway, see you next week.